Like it was kind of rough. But
okay, I have to say this. Stunning what happened today. They finished the game.
Well, hang on 1 second. I do want to just finish real quickly.
Oh,
last point on the Broncos.
Was Mike interrupting?
Yeah.
I wasn't really interrupting. I was just going to.
Have you ever had that happen, Jenna? Has he ever done that? Wait,
Never.
I know I would never. I know for a fact I would never interrupt anybody.
One of my New Year's resolutions.
He won't even give me the microphone.
Because.
And there's the open.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel, presented by Connors and Ferris. Dan Fates holding down the fort in studio. Mike Catalana, Jenna Cottrell in beautiful, warm, sunny Foxborough as we bring you the latest edition of the Buffalo Plus Podcast. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always. Really appreciate it. So, this podcast, we're going to talk about the Bills playoff matchup. We know that the Denver Broncos will be coming to Orchard Park next weekend. We're recording this at about 8 o'clock on Sunday nights. We don't know the time of the game just yet, but we'll give our instant and initial thoughts on the Broncos, plus kind of recapping the regular season finale. And some players will be smiling, looking at their bank accounts tomorrow, guys. Mm-hmm. So the Denver Broncos, Michael, your thoughts?
I like that this game is about the Bills.
Yeah.
Because if it was the Denver Broncos or if it was the Cincinnati Bengals, it would be about Joe Burrow. They're red hot. They've won all these games. That's fine. All that is fine. I watched the Broncos and I watched the Bengals. When I watched the Bengals, Burrow's really good. The rest of that team stinks. I know their defense played pretty well, but that's in part because the Steelers are awful on offense. But it still would be Burrow and Chase. And so for the Bills, not that the Broncos aren't a good team, well coached, and Bo Nix is flying high. That's great. But I like it that this is about the Bills beginning their run less than about the opponent who would have been the team that, quote, nobody wanted to play.
I feel like... Oh.
Go ahead, because I was wondering what your thoughts were on the matchup.
So it's interesting. I actually felt differently. Like I felt like the Bengals, their defense is trash. So I was kind of like, I get it. It's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins, it's all of these guys. But I had way more confidence in the Bills offense going against a Bengals defense that I thought Josh Allen could walk all over. The difference with the Broncos is obviously the Bills are the more established team, all this stuff. My one concern about the Broncos is this is free money. They are ahead of schedule. They're coming out. No one expected them to have this season. You see what Bo Nix has been able to do. The defense has been playing very well. I think the Bills, I think the Bills are more talented. I think they will have the win, but I'm a little concerned because it feels like this is just a part of the ride. You know, pressure is off in terms of this Broncos team as they head into Orchard Park.
Yeah, a little bit too young and dumb to understand the magnitude.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that when we last video, or maybe it was one of our Yawas that we did, the
you ask, we answer.
Thank you. Yeah, kind of ranking who would you want the Bills to face, and I think we were all in a. I mean, I know I wanted to face the Dolphins, especially with the health of Tua and just the Bills' dominance over Miami. I think the Broncos have some dudes. I think the grand scheme of this, the Bills are 7.5-point favorites is what the line's open up as. And I think that's fair. Like I thought it was going to be at least 6. Matt Beauvais of WKBW was texting me. He's like, do you think it'll be 5? I go, I think it'll be at least 6. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. I mean, he's older than a lot of rookies and some established guys in the league. Mike, I kind of like that they kind of blew out the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like that in a weird way. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love it. I love it that they're coming into the playoffs feeling great. And look, that's great for them. This is about the Bills. If the Bills play well, they win the game. They win it comfortably.
Yep.
The Broncos are a good team. They made the playoffs in a division now, which is good. I mean, the Chiefs just had their second loss. The Broncos could have beaten the Chiefs both times. They obviously blew them out in the game without the starters, but they should have probably beaten them the first time they played them. And the Chargers are a good team that's in the playoffs. So that's a tough division. They've played against tough competition. They didn't back down from the Chiefs when they played them in Kansas City. All that is impressive. But this is the next step. This is the playoffs. And this Bills team has been through it. Now, Jenna and I were talking about it. And I said, they've had some tough opening games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Go all the way back to the Colts game, that first one. The Dolphins game where
Wait, are you talking about that the games have been tough? Because the matchups really haven't been tough.
Right, but the games ended up being tough.
Yes.
Close. I mean, they barely beat the Dolphins in that game. And then even last year, the Steelers, that game was still a game into the fourth quarter. So I guess I look at it and go, it's the playoffs, man. You just got to win and advance. But I like the rookie quarterback coming into Orchard Park.
Same.
And while we're recording this, we don't know the time or the day, but I still have a feeling it's a night game.
Yeah.
I hope it's not Monday. You guys already know this. Maybe by the time you're watching it, I hope it's not Monday.
Yeah.
But I like them coming in. Let's see if Denver's ready for playoff atmosphere in Orchard Park.
And Sean McDermott today spoke about after the game in terms of the ultimate goal for the season, for every season, is the Super Bowl. But I really liked his answer about you can't put the cart before the horse and what that means. And I think it's important for the team and a reminder of the mindset going into the playoffs, but also almost for fans as well.
Well, I think the ultimate goal every year is to win the Super Bowl. So I don't think I know. We're taking it one day at a time. That's when I've been to the Super Bowl, and I've been there twice. That's how you got to do it. That's how you get it. Hey, one day at a time. Work your tails off to prepare. You can't shortchange it. You want to jump to end of the week and playing the game. Nah, you want to jump to week 2. It's right here. Focus on what's right here and right in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, McDermott has been to Super Bowls before, and I think it is. You have to take an attack each day. And I think that's something that it's easy to forget about that because of what you expect from Josh Allen in this group.
I would also like to add that I thought Jenna and I had bad lighting here at the hotel.
This is horrendous lighting.
But Sean, it was like he was in witness protection there.
No, it was
Were you
like
guys in a closet?
Yeah.
So we are in the Xbox room of the Aloft Hotel in downtown Providence.
And by the way, a few people commented on the video wondering why we're in Providence. We could walk to the Bills Hotel. This is where the Bills stay. It's closer to Foxborough than Boston. And why
There's
we were
nothing
out
in Foxborough.
Well,
Yeah.
right. Why? And we like the food, and Providence has got some food. This place has got some
Great
food.
food.
But while we were recording, somebody was like, why are you outside? I'm like, we're in Providence, just like the Buffalo Bills when we recorded our video.
If it's good enough for the Buffalo Bills, it is in fact good enough for us.
For
too.
Buffalo Plus. Yes. How about that?
Yeah, and I know we'll get more into the matchup, breaking things down as the week goes on. But my initial reaction, first of all, guys, is like, yeah, Bo Nix is good. He's playing well. He's got, Jenna, you would say he's got moxie. He's kind of got that rookie,
He's rookie. He's Baker.
Young Baker.
He's young Baker. More mature than young Baker. He plays the game like Baker, but he does have moxie. What else does he have? Swagger?
I was saying that about Mike White. Had swagger. But after today, Mike White does not have swagger. So yes, we'll go with Bo Nix having swagger. He has some swag.
Side note, I give Spiro and I can't remember who the other guy was on the call. They were doing their best to try and make that football game on TV sound interesting.
Oh, it was so bad.
They were really trying to talk up some guys, and you're just listening to it like these guys don't know any of these players out there, and they're just saying words. Like it was kind of rough. But
okay, I have to say this. Stunning what happened today. They finished the game.
Well, hang on. One second. I do want to just finish real quickly. Last point on the Broncos.
Was Mike interrupting?
Yeah.
I wasn't really interrupting. I was just going to.
Have you ever had that happen, Jenna? Has he ever done that? Wait,
Never.
I know I would never. I know for a fact I would never interrupt anyone.
One of my New Year's resolutions.
He won't even give me the microphone.
Because.
And there's the open. It's funny how these just come up organically.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bo Nix, Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton are both good wide receivers that will give a good secondary when healthy. I think a little bit of problems. The defense is good, right? Like, I think they've got a couple of guys that you don't know of that are having really good seasons. I think Nick Bonito is maybe the best.
Yeah.
I think he may be the best defensive player outside of your boy Bond in Philly that the casual football fan doesn't really know much about, but like Bonito's having a massive year. This Broncos team can get after the quarterback. Like that's kind of how they bank on their defense is their pressure. I think they said they had 60 sacks this year. Like they had a ton. But if one of the Bills' strengths is the Bills' offensive line and protecting Josh Allen and not taking sacks and Josh's ability to avoid sacks and handle pressure, I kind of like the way the Bills strength on strength. I like the Bills matchup. And I know we talked about it, I think on the last podcast, like, yeah, Patrick Surtain is probably one of the top 3 best corners in the league. Who does he take away? I really don't understand. Like, do you take away Cooper? Okay, fine. Then Shakir will eat. And Sutton will move around. Like Sutton they talked about it. I saw a tweet today. Like
Surtain.
Surtain.
Yeah.
Thank you. Check that. I know there are comments right now, but Surtain doesn't just do one, like go on one guy. They showed that he rotates around, that he only covers the number 1 wide receiver about 44% of the time. So they all kind of shift around. So to me, if I'm Josh and I'm Joe Brady, I'm looking going, okay, where's Patrick Surtain? Not throwing to him. Totally fine. All the other guys are where I'm going to go.
Maybe Surtain will be on Keon.
Do we want to get into that?
Well, Well,
I got my concern meter is going up. My concern meter is going up. He had 10 targets today and 2 catches. And I am fully aware that it was Mitch Trubisky and Mike White throwing to him. I'm also well aware that the Patriots secondary without Christian Gonzalez, I don't know who any of them are. And so it's a little bit of a concern. And yes, there were some bad passes thrown his way. Go back to last week though, when we were sitting at Orchard Park and I said, hey man, I'm not really seeing it. Great catch against the Jets. He has the highlight reel moments. The consistency's not there. And this talk of like, oh, he's still developing. He's still a rookie. I'm kind of calling BS now because that's not my take. That's what coaches say. Like we're at week 18 now. Keon is no longer a rookie. And to me, not an all 22 guy, but I can see that he's not gaining any separation. Yeah. Like all of the concerns that we had preseason and when they drafted him and they're like, well, he'll develop these things. I haven't really seen it. 10 targets today, 2 catches. Guys, those are
bad numbers.
Those are Gabe numbers.
Yes. I will say this. A very wise person was once quoted as saying 2 things can be true at once. Mm-hmm. He is developing and he is a rookie. But now you're in the playoffs. So you can't get the excuse of being a rookie. He still is in his first year. He can develop. Not a good day for him today.
I'm not throwing in the towel either. Like I'm not sitting there saying like bust. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know you're
but
not.
But it's also not a good look if we're sitting there early in the season, like through training camp where we went, hey man, he's showing some flashes. Like this is good. Yeah. It wasn't great for Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman to be playing in the 4th quarter of a meaningless week 18 game. Yeah. Like that's like watching the 3rd preseason game and going, who's out there in the 4th quarter? Like,
especially like you said, they're playing with Mitch. It's about being on the field, but it wasn't like like they wanted the safeties out there because the safeties had not been on the field and they wanted them to get a lot of playing time. It wasn't about winning or losing the game.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, it's not like they're getting more reps with Josh.
I had a moment too where I was like, oh, I hope Mac Hollins doesn't keep playing. And I'm like, I didn't think that about Curtis Samuel or Keon. And to your point about Keon and the struggles he had today, it really felt like he couldn't get out of it. Like he really felt like he struggled to get any momentum, any separation. And especially I think of that drive where they went to him 3 consecutive times and it was like, it just never came together. So I understand why you have that level of concern because you're right. At this point in the season, and coaches say it, and not just coaches in Buffalo, coaches across the NFL will say, these guys are no longer rookies.
And again, I'm sure some of the comments will be like, Dan, you're being too hard on him. Like, give him a break. Like, he had practice squad guys throwing to him. He did. Like, I'm not diminishing that fact. But Matt Collins and Curtis Samuel didn't have any problems catching passes from practice squad quarterbacks either. And I was watching a few weeks ago, Steve Smith did a breakdown of Keon Coleman. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. And he broke down kind of like his footwork and why his releases weren't where they need to be, things like that. And it was from week 2 of the NFL season. It was against the Miami game. And I went, all right, it's week 2. Saw a lot of the same. I saw a lot of the same in week 18. So again, for his last 17 targets, he has 5 catches.
By the way, no, go ahead. Well, I was going to just say one of my favorite things is Dan anticipating the comments and then breaking down what's going to be said.
Yeah.
Trying to get it out there with some swords.
Just Jon Snow meme of just like everybody running at me because it's like so many. It's so funny. I tweeted out the targets to receptions, and it was like 60% like, you're an idiot. He had practice squad guys. There were terrible passes. And then a bunch of people were like, he just didn't seem into the game. He had no separation. Like,
maybe he watched George Pickens last night.
Woo.
Yeah.
Well, again, to the 2 things can be true point, I think you can say that Keon has made some amazing catches this season. And
Absolutely.
Also in some of the not minutia, but in some of the everyday things, you want to see him have that consistency. The highlight plays are amazing, but where can we meet in the middle also a little bit?
And that's a great point. And it is fundamentals. And Sean always pushes back on fundamentals. And I know a lot of people roll their eyes, but you've seen it at practice. You've seen it at practice. When things aren't going well, they get back to a lot of that stuff. And to your point about footwork, things like that. Listen, Keon's got physical ability to play the game.
100%.
Those kind of things may never make him a 4.3 speed guy, but they will make him a more effective route runner. Use what works for you to get those other things that make you good, like separation. Doesn't mean you're going to be a burner, but you're going to need to figure out ways to get open.
But Mike, when you say he's got the physical abilities, right? You know who else does? The other 52 guys out there on the field. Like, this is where you can't just use your physical abilities to be better at this level. It's how Amari Cooper wins. It's how Khalil Shakir wins. You win by doing those little things to gain separation and then make plays on the football. That's where I kept saying, and I still believe that Keon will add more things to his tool belt and will add more releases and all these things. But I saw just a lot of stutters and goes, and like, there weren't a lot of slants. There weren't a lot of out routes that, like, you're sitting there going, I would have liked him to have that in his route tree at this point in the season.
Yep.
That being said.
And it's all the little things, like defensive linemen always talk about hand placement. Yeah. They can get by in college with just being bigger and stronger. Doesn't work in the NFL. So that was a negative. But it really is hard to grab much from that game other than DeMar was out there for a long time. Now, you said Sean talked about it.
Yeah, Sean was asked in terms of, DeMar was out there for quite a bit, and he talked about why DeMar was out there. Taylor Rapp. DeMar had been out for the last couple of games. He wanted him to kind of get some feel being back in the lineup, and then the communication piece between him and Taylor Rapp, how important that is. So that is why he had an extended kind of stint out there, probably more than expected, was just for him to get acclimated and get back up to speed and kind of feel like himself heading into the playoffs. So that to me made sense. There were a couple times where I was like, oh, I was kind of surprised to see DeMar out there. But after the game, McDermott made it a point to say that was purposeful. That was because of him missing time. And that was a part of the Bills' plan. Yeah.
And Cole Bishop had a lot of time out there too. He didn't as much in the beginning, but then he was in there a lot.
Yeah.
And they're going to all play because, Micah Hyde's not playing.
Nope.
No.
I just think that's not the case. So this is the group they're going with, is certainly in the defensive backfield. And Rasul Douglas was dressed. I never even saw him with a snap.
He played early. He played the first 2 series.
Right. But you're right. In the beginning, I think he might have wanted to get out there and run a little bit because they could have worked around that if they wanted.
Yeah.
Kyrie Elam playing a ton of snaps and Christian Benford chilling on the sidelines because he's not playing in the game tells you the guy, well, we know, obviously, he's the guy they're going to pay. This is when they show that. These are the guys. So that was really something when you think back to how they started their careers.
Yeah, I had a hard time kind of trying to watch this game and like tweet about it and how to like comprehend it because it did feel so much like a preseason game. I thought Solomon
that way too.
Yeah, like Solomon popped. Like I thought Solomon had some good stuff off the edge, but like I could have sat there and been more critical of like Kyrie Elam. Like really, like that wasn't a great rep. And I'm sitting there, it's like, am I really going to start calling guys out for like this game is such? It was kind of like it was the lose off. Like who could lose this game? Like
okay, but now back to the point I was trying to make. Speaking of lose off, the guy wins the game and gets fired. Like we weren't there for his press conference. Did they grab him and drag him in Kraft's office and fire him within seconds of his post-game news conference ending? I've seen the Bills fire a lot of coaches, and I've never seen anything like that.
Did he shower? Was like the best question. It was like, did he even have time to like that? Had to be win, lose, or draw. Like he was getting canned. Like, and I think Giardi kind of talks about it. Like, was rock bottom the 40-7 loss to the Chargers the week before?
Yeah. But again, think about this, Dan. Think about this. Were they mad? I mean, I'm saying this. Were they mad that he won the game today?
Yes.
Because it's dangerous when you leave a coach out there like the Texans did, and they blew the number one. Look, you can say all you want about who's out there and who you want to take, but you do control the draft when you're number one. I mean, I guess it's a little less money at 3 or 4, wherever you end up in the thing. But like, if that was the case, then fire him after the game with the Chargers.
Yep.
And then he's gone. Then you can go talk to Vrabel or whoever you want to talk to.
But then Kraft would be known as the guy who fired a coach in the middle of his first season. Didn't even give him 17 games.
You're right. But then he fired him. Like,
he gave him 17 games and a cup of coffee.
So I can imagine media relations going, okay, one more question. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks, coach. Boom. Gone. Like they just grab him and drag him out of the building. And he's one of their guys. Like the players had, honestly, I got to say this. I don't know if he had 2 minutes with the players, then he went in for his press conference. I just tell you that they wanted to do that. Maybe it is about Vrabel because that organization's got a lot of problems. And they hope they have the quarterback, but man,
that's the only thing that doesn't make sense is that like if you want that first pick, like that first pick is usually for a quarterback, right? And like for everything we've seen, like they got a dude.
Oh, they're not taking a quarterback.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like are you? And I get it. 1 to 4 is still a drop, but are you that upset that you're like we don't have the? I don't know.
So let me ask you this though. You know the way it goes with these quarterbacks. It'll be a big cycle, and then all of a sudden, somebody's going to fall in love with Shador. Somebody's going to fall in love with what's his name? Cam Ward, and they're going to want to get up there, and they're going to think even a team that's back a little bit is going to think we can jump up a lot of spots.
Sure.
And I don't know. Hey, whatever it is, that's on them. That's not on the Bills. So
yeah, I thought like halfway through this game when the Patriots, they were still obviously playing very hard, all this stuff. I was like, I wonder if they are going to fire Mayo and this is kind of like the last FU out the door. Like maybe that's just me looking too much into it, but I was like, what is something that would be massively impactful for years to come and could be kind of a parting shot? And to me, that's winning the game and knocking you from the first overall draft pick to further down the board. So, I mean, I feel like you could feel the tea leaves even going into the game. It was reports were leaning towards Mayo being gone. And you have to know when you're that guy, what the conversations are like, what the vibe is like, all those things. So
it's just wild though, Dan. He was their guy. Like he's a Patriots player. He's a guy they say they groomed to be the coach. And then you whack him before he gets out of the room.
It does scare me if they have Vrabel, though. I don't like that because they have a good quarterback. Vrabel is
their roster is still a mess.
Their roster is a mess, but think about how big culture is and what that has meant to Buffalo. And you have a guy that can set the standard in New England, a place that has the roots of being able to do that. You got a quarterback you believe in. You have a leader that's done it before. I'm not saying it would be perfect the first year, but that does scare me of what that could be down the line.
Yeah. Finishing up kind of, again, this game, and there'll be plenty of content throughout the week. Appreciate, like, comment, subscribe, comment in with Yen share what you thought of this game and your initial reaction of facing the Broncos. I'll call my shot. I feel like it's a Saturday night game. I don't know about you guys. I mean,
that's where I am too.
Yeah.
I know we've heard a little bit of whispers about it, but it doesn't feel like it's fully a Monday game. It doesn't feel like hasn't earned that, but Josh Allen isn't a 1 o'clock game guy at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, Bo Nix, shiny rookie. I think it plays well on Saturday night, which would be awesome for our jobs, but that's just us. The other thing from today, the Bills lost, but a lot of players won in the old bank account category here, guys. Really cool. One, I thought Josh was phenomenal. We have to talk about Josh. I did want to make a note. I thought he was very sharp today.
Yeah.
Did exactly what he was asked to do.
Yeah, the handoff was great. I thought his running off the field was just exactly the way you want to see a quarterback do it. You know, he ran off. You thought the speed was pretty good. Showed a good burst.
Good vision.
Yeah. He got to the sidelines. He's a team guy. He celebrated with his teammates. He's rooting on Mitch. I just think if you're going to play one play in a game and hand off, you cannot do it better than Josh Allen.
The best part too is it was on the TV broadcast, and I thought to tweet it, but it just was it would have been a little tacky. Fourth quarter, like 5 minutes left. The Bills are, a preseason game, and they're showing Josh, and he just had the biggest yawn ever. Like it was a 5-second yawn, and I wanted to tweet it and just say same. Like that game was so preseason, but I was like,
I can't believe it got so loud in there. It was deafening for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
Like you could,
it was absolutely not that.
Yeah.
There were moments where I've never seen a stadium for a game be that empty.
Yeah, I mean the Bills had that back in the day, like at the end of the year.
No, like recently speaking.
Yes, yeah, there usually is good crowds, but it was funny though. A lot of fans, there was some signs up like number 1 pick,
86 the Mayo. I thought that was a really
that's really good.
Well done. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I think fans for the Patriots they were booing them when they were winning, which I thought.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about because you couldn't hear anything. Like it wasn't like there was any stadium vibes on the broadcast, but they were kind of talking about that. Obviously, so the incentives, Von Miller, a nice $1.5 million bonus for reaching 6 sacks on the season. 1 snap, 1 sack, well done. Sam Martin got $100,000 for getting his 25th punt downed inside the 1. I hope he gives Jamarcus Ingram some of that because that was a phenomenal play. Also, a cool play by Sean to punt from your 35. Like for early on, it felt like it's like, why punt today, right? Like, hey, if you want to kick to get Tyler Bass some work, who missed an extra point, but like that was cool to see Sean kind of do that for Sam. Like punters are football players too, and they like money probably just as much as the next football player. So
they like $100,000 to the punter is way more than 1.5 million to Von. Von has 1.5 million in the cushions of his couch. Okay. And so we talked to Sam and he was like, it was great. And then I said to him, you going to do something for Jamarcus? And he was like laughing. He's like, yeah, I thanked him on the field and whatever. Then he didn't say if he was giving
he didn't confirm nor deny.
Dude, I'm the punter. Okay. I'm the punter here. And then the James Cook stuff was less about money.
Yeah.
And it's cool. The 1,000 yards is cool. I mean, we know that's not like massive, but it's a nice round number. And then him tying Simpson for the most touchdowns in a year. Now, he did that in 14 games, in those bad teams in the 70s, but this was 17, but good for James. And, but the thing about the players is they all responded like it was very good vibes for the team to get those things done.
Yeah.
Everybody was on board with getting like, let's like sort of do this. You got something you can get to, let's see you get it done.
I think it's big because you want those for those guys, like you see all the work they put in and they deserve those accolades. So for Jimbo to get another touchdown, reach 1,000 yards, Vaughn to get a sack, I think Sam hit something with his punts. Like you want all your teammates to do the very best and get everything deserved, and we've all put the work in. So for them to hit those milestones today, I think it was huge for us.
I mean, that's big, once you got a group of guys that's behind you and and supporting you and want you to get it is always big, and I'm appreciative of them.
You know, everybody, you know, teammates kept saying, just get one. And, you know, I had to think about it. I was like, damn, I just need, you know, one. But it felt good to, you know, have all my teammates supportive of it and want me to get it. But we got bigger fish to fry.
And I feel like that says something, you know, and that's a loud message for the entire locker room about like, hey, if guys are close, like we want to help you get to that money because you deserve it. And if it's within reach, like let's not. Because I feel like for some other teams it might be like, oh, you know, let's save a little bit of money, but it's like, no, let's reward the players that are worth rewarding in that way.
Yep.
Yeah. Agree.
Do we want to talk about Tyler Bass just real briefly? Because that to me was also another takeaway from today of just like missing the extra point. It was a little bit windy. I get it, but what do we say about the playoffs? The little issues that crop up during the season become big problems, can become big problems in the playoffs. We talked about it last year heading in with Tyler Bass and our confidence in him. I'm not going to blow up the entire thing and say, oh my gosh, Tyler Bass is, you know, ruined, but it's just one of those things that hangs in the back of your mind.
His last two misses, if I'm not mistaken, are the short field goal in Detroit and an extra point. That worries me a little bit. It's like, these you got to knock through. And I'll say this for Sean. He's been more aggressive. Keep that in mind, Sean, in the playoffs. When it's close, the decision should be let 17 go. Unless it's about the points at the end of a game or something. Like if it's close, I have more faith in them converting sometimes than I do in the kicker.
Yeah, I hear you. All right,
No, I was going to ask real quick, like, how do you feel about that, Dan?
It was such a who cares game that it almost felt like it almost to me felt like you're golfing and like you've reached the part of like the course where you're like, I've already stopped keeping score and I just drove another ball into the water. Like I don't really care. Right.
But with the kickers though, they're almost in their own little thing where it's just about the
they
kick
are human though.
Kick.
Josh is yawning.
You're gonna give Keon that for dropping the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Keon's got to prove something. Keon's trying to get snaps next week.
He'll get snaps.
Yeah.
Right.
One last thing. It used to be, I'm sure we have a lot of new subscribers to the channel, or at least we're getting a lot more views because Ravens fans are big mad. They are.
Man.
Ravens fans are on another level right now. Like you talk about me like fighting off comments of like Jon Snow for like Keon takes and other stuff. I can't tweet anything without somebody that's Flock 1742 coming into my mentions and calling me every name in the book.
I was on the Patriots pregame show today and they were asking me about Josh. And I go, listen, if you vote, you said it into Twitter, on your Twitter account. In the Twitter, in the X.
I'm sorry. That
was such an old man thing.
I was between, never mind. Listen, if you vote for Lamar, there's nothing wrong with that vote.
Correct.
That's what you believe. He's a great player.
Yeah.
Josh is a great player. Josh's circumstances were very different. The narrative is on him because the narrative was what this team was facing.
Yeah.
And they had 30 plus touchdowns receiving and rushing this year in a year where he wasn't supposed to have anything to go with him. And that's what he ended up doing. So that's all we're saying about it. Go ahead.
No, like it's too much. That's too much perspective into it. Ravens fans tell me that Josh had a really bad game against Houston. So he's no longer qualified for the MVP because he had a bad game against Houston.
Well, they lost to the Browns at home, right?
No, Browns was on the road. Tough game, right? They lost to the 3-14 Raiders at home.
Oh,
But hey, somebody
the
tweeted
Browns
me that,
were what? The Browns were 3-14.
Yeah.
Dan, now you're doing the same thing that Ravens fans are.
No, I'm not.
Like in the other way about Josh.
No, I'm not.
I used to say.
I'm just saying, I did want to acknowledge the Ravens fans that probably joined this video to tweet something insufferable and call us all out. So I just wanted to, again, as Mike likes to say, get ahead of that.
Yes.
For that.
How cool is it though that there's two players that are so
Awesome.
deserving of it? Like,
Yeah.
Just to take a step back and be like, we're watching some really great NFL play from quarterbacks.
And we may see them in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was also too, like Fox put up, or CBS, somebody put up the graphic of all the great players this year that could be in the MVP race. Saquon, Joe Burrow, obviously. And then they also threw in Goff and Sam Darnold, and they all had like individual stats, like how many total touchdowns, yards, things like that.
Yeah.
And then Goff was his completion percentage, which was second best in the league. And then Sam Darnold, it just said 14-2 record. And I went, they couldn't even throw a single stat. Like they were just like, hey, this is a cool story. Like I think Sam should 100% be a strong contender for comeback player of the year. But it was just funny where it's like, hey, put him in the MVP conversation. What stat do we use? The team's good. Got it. We'll roll with that, guys. So,
by the way, I just checked. Comeback player of the year has already been Joe Flacco. He already won it again. Yes.
Again. All right. Appreciate it.
Real
as
quick.
Always. Oh, Michael.
Thirsty Turtle.
Yes.
Thursday night. We'll be there from 5 to 7, a little meet and greet. And then we're doing our podcast live. Thirsty Turtle, Victor, New York. If you want to come out and see us, the lighting will be better.
This is horrendous lighting.
You're doing great, sweetie.
It's horrendous.
I had a light. I brought a light with me, but we went with this in the Xbox room. It is called the Eloft Xbox.
Aloft.
No, Eloft.
Was somebody playing pool during?
Aloft.
Was somebody playing?
You can hear the guys playing pool.
They're over there. They're over there. You know what? This podcast is complete because we pointed to something off screen that no one can see.
We got a double open.
This is really special stuff.
All right. Appreciate it. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Mike and share. And for Mike and Jenna in Foxborough at the Xbox room
Providence.
at the Aloft in Providence.
Yeah, Providence.
This hosting thing ain't easy. It's not so much fun when the rabbit got the gun, Jenna. That and producing the Thursday show.
What an idiot.
It's not fun. All right. Appreciate it as always. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris.